Um. Okay. How is it going? Is it working? Chat? Anybody who's watching? Is it
Well, I see a game. I see a
and,
character that is standing
and
still.
I'm not hearing my voice over and over again? That's helpful. Sorry about that, everybody. The internet confuses me. And, other stuff. Oh my god, why do I always get a call, like, at 9 o'clock when I start this shit? I'm ignoring it.
Probably like a fan of yours who wants to let you know that they're watching you online.
Anyway, hello everyone. So, today I am going to be talking with, Felagund, who is a friend of mine from a Discord that I am part of. More about that later. Um, oh my, this phone needs to stop ringing, but I don't want to hit ignore in case it's like a job interview, because then that might piss him off. But also, I don't have a voicemail, so that might also piss him off. So, oh well. I'll call him back later. Uh, anyway, Felagund, how is it going, Felagund?
It's well, it's obviously going excellent, and I like it how you dodged the question. What's up?
Did you see the hesitation there?
Yes, you are thinking very carefully to construct the question.
I was kind of distracted by the phone, but luckily I can multitask. So you see how I'm playing the game now. So, about the game real quick before we get into anything. This is one of my favorite games ever. It's called Dark Souls 2. It's a beautiful game. This is the Majula. It's like, well, this is Majula. It's like the main hub where you level up and there's like shops and stuff. But anyway, I'm just going to be playing Dark Souls while I talk to Felagund about stuff. Um, any comments, Felagund? Anything you want to say about my life decisions?
No, I never played the game. I found with what I'm seeing, I found the quality of the skybox questionable.
Well, it is from like 2013, so um anyway, I think it's a beautiful game. Look at those rocks over there. Look at those beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. So, what atmosphere? Also, like that's an area that you go to over there. Um, and so is yeah. Anyway, it's great. Um, why don't we go ahead and hit our first talking point, which is we are going to talk about the educational system and where it is going. Belgium versus the United States. So I guess I'll talk a little bit just briefly about my experience, my direct experience with the US educational system, and then maybe you can complain about the Belgian educational system. I'm sure you're going to complain about it.
Yeah, okay.
So I am quite disappointed, as many other people are, with the U.S. educational system, because I graduated high school about 15 years ago, and so I was in a lot of honors classes in high school. So I took 5 AP classes, which those are college credit classes you can take in in high school. So I passed 4 of those 5 tests. I failed the calculus one, just completely. So anyway, I feel like I was a gifted student. However, I came out of high school with a 2.1 GPA. Like I had to take extra classes outside of the normal school hours to even graduate high school. And I think a lot of this was due to my personality, but also a huge part in the way that the US educational system is set up, where you go to school for 8 hours a day as a kid, since like the first grade. Kindergarten, you only get half of that. But the first grade, you go to school 8 hours a day, and then you have like 1 to 2 hours to 3 hours of assigned homework. So essentially, you're expected as a child to pull 10 to 11-hour work days. Like, and that's not a typical work schedule. Like, I mean, that would be unreasonable. Like, jobs really suck if they require you to do that much work. But like, as a kid, when you're all about instant gratification and having fun and all that, it's like, oh, okay, you're done with school now. Now go do homework. And I also did cross country, so that was like 2.5 hours of like rigorous physical exercise, and then I would go home and it'd be like, oh, now you do your homework, and I would generally just not do my homework, and that's why my GPA was so low. Even though I'm sure I had the aptitude to pass all those classes. And then, yeah, so that was high school.
Can you like explain what the trajectory is that you are supposed to go through in like US education? Because like GPA, like someone recently explained it to me, but you know, how does that even come in to like your educational journey?
Essentially, with a GPA like that, I wasn't able to get any scholarships. Also, my choice of colleges to go to was incredibly limited. Like, I wasn't able to go to any of the prestigious colleges because of my GPA. So you have the letter system in Belgium as well, right? So I'll just explain
Yes.
it real quick. Like, a 2.0 is average or passing. A 3.0 is above average or a B, and a 4.0 is an A, which is, excellent. So if you wanted to get into like someplace like Harvard, you would have to have above a 4.0 because AP classes give you extra. They count as like a 5.0 as far as figuring out your GPA. If you got an A in an AP class. So as far as your question goes, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you're supposed to get any job that isn't absolutely terrible in the U.S. Even when I was leaving high school 15 years ago, you absolutely have to get a college degree. So if you actually had intelligence and you wanted to apply it, you absolutely need a college degree. And so I've been doing blue-collar work my whole life because I lack an education. I did do some college, but not enough to get like a bachelor's, and I kind of screwed up college too. Just kind of, I learned bad habits in high school. But yeah, I don't like the direction that it forced me in. I don't like how it pigeonholed like the way that I learn things. 'Cause it's not like I'm not a hard worker. I like to think that I work very hard, but I just didn't apply that to homework. And I think that was my real failing. And just I didn't like how ridiculous the work was, and it also seemed like it wasn't accomplishing a lot. It was just getting you used to working every day, because that's how human society is constructed. I'm gonna turn down the volume on this a little bit.
So yeah, as far as it goes in Belgium, like something that is quite differently, is like we make a choice at the age of 12. We make a choice in secondary school, and there is like a separation of what you said. Like of the majority of people, they expect that they will finish secondary school and that they will then go to college or university. But you have pretty much an A and a B direction. So A, it's what the majority of people does. It's to later on move to an academical continuation. But the B, you can choose a B at the age of 12, which pretty much means that you already are aware that school is not gonna work out for you. So it's like way more based on a profession that you pretty much prepared for a profession like I don't know, like an electrician, plumber, you know, that sort of things that you actually will go to work at the age of 18 when you finish secondary school. And then the part that you so if you just do the A direction, you know, it's all very general and generic education. So when you finished it at the age of 18, you're pretty much still absolutely nowhere. So at that point, you have to choose um, that you go to a college or a university, which pretty much means that if you go to a college, it is a bachelor degree, which is 3 years, and if you go to university, you go for a master, which is 4 years. But here, actually, there is there is absolutely no scoring of your secondary school is relevant on you having entry to your college or to the university. So I could have gone to, you know, the most prestigious university in the country, because by law they are not allowed to refuse students.
Wow.
Um, so the only thing you have is like you have like in the medical profession, that for doctors and dentists and so on, you actually have like you have like an examination for entry that you have to pass. Um, but I, as far as to my knowledge, it's like the only case that I'm aware of. Otherwise, you can just yeah, you can apply to any university really.
Um, what do you think about like pushing people in that direction at such an early age? Like, oh, are you going to be a plumber or are you going to be an engineer?
Um, this also in politics, this has been a great discussion over the years, because you're making now a decision at the age of 12, and the political opinion is pretty much that it's way too early.
I think so
Um,
too. I don't think a
I
12-year-old.
disagree.
You disagree.
Yes,
I
I disagree in the sense that like for most of the people at the age of 12, it's already obvious how well you perform in school. You already know if school is something for you. And the problem, to me, the problem it creates, that if you always remain with the same group in um, like for me, my experience of secondary school was that I was bored all the time, because you know, it was going too slow. I was never challenged in any of the classes. I didn't care for anything, because I was just of the opinion, why am I wasting my time here, because this is just all very boring stuff.
the same thing happened to me. Like I did well in my honors classes, the ones that I was challenged in.
So I think that the problem is that I think it's good that you make a separation already at the age of 12, because what happens is, if you do not make that separation, that means that, you know, the children that are, you know, considered less intelligent, but that doesn't it doesn't mean they're less intelligent. It just means they're not well suited for the educational system that, you know, is flawed by itself.
Right.
if you put if you keep putting them all together, then you know, the inequality in your classroom is getting larger and larger. And in general, it results that you lower the bar of your education, because you actually adapt to the slowest in your class, because that is the one that you want to, you know, make pass. So you're actually like slowing down, and I think that has enormous consequences, that there will be even more and more students that will be completely bored and not enjoying education, if you're slowing down the system even more than it currently is.
Uh, yeah, definitely. I've never really thought about it that way, but that's probably what happened to me. Um, You know, I think if I had been challenged, if I had actually been interested in what I was doing, um, I would have been more successful. I would have learned a lot more, um, and you know, I probably. Ooh, wow, that's a very that jump is it can be tricky. If you fall there, you die. Um, but anyway, yeah, damn. Well, do you think you could talk to like the American government and our states real quick? Just kind of throw that out there. You know that maybe they shouldn't have all
It's
the kids in one classroom.
yeah, I definitely think that is like an important point. But I mean, obviously there are plenty more things like wrong with education.
It just
Like an issue that I also have is like the way that the testing is performed. There is currently an enormous emphasis on like achievements and how we want to monitor everything. We want to keep track of everything. So that means that we came to really love like doing tests over everything because we pretend that those tests actually resemble like how good our students know what what uh, what you're teaching them. But I think that's kind of a flawed way of seeing tests because
I
for me personally as a child, you know, I didn't I didn't care about tests at all. Like the only thing that mattered to me was like, okay, I am totally aware that they will throw at me tests. So what I will do is I will figure out what teachers find important so that I can with absolutely minimal effort can pass all the tests. So it kind of becomes a competition of like I'm trying to figure out how your testing system works because I'm not interested in the test because we all know and the teachers know it themselves that the tests are not relevant, that they don't have any importance to you knowing the material. I mean, there are examples where it does apply. I mean, um, I guess mathematics and languages are the best kind of subjects where you actually you build on top of what you know, so it constantly grows and it becomes more sophisticated and more complicated, and you actually need the knowledge of the past to continue it. But the majority of subjects in school are like throwaway knowledge.
sorry, 1 second. I'm in a crisis. Um, I totally lost it. Yeah, okay. It's been easy in Dark Souls so far, except for that last part right there. Ow. Uh, what? Sorry, Felagund.
I
Could
don't think you're very good at
I
multitasking, are you?
am. I until now I've been doing just admirably. I've been doing just fantastically. Um, I'm
So,
great. Give me
so
another chance.
in general, the question is, what is your view on the testing and scoring that they do in education?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was following you up until like two guys started attacking me, and that kind of it took the my brain had to focus on that for a second. Um yeah, as far as testing goes, I agree with you. Like really becoming good at like test taking is if you're smart enough to start figuring out how the test makers are making the test. That's why I've always been good at tests. Um in addition to just like being able to accrue knowledge better than is average. But yeah, just like figuring out the mind games that they're trying to play. um I mean, I took a test recently for my last job to get a license, and I was able to do really well on it because I I had a vague idea of what information would pop up on the test because of what I've learned from school. But that's not exactly useful knowledge, and doesn't really test your intelligence or your knowledge on the subject, like you said. So I agree with you. But like, what should you do then? Like, how should you gauge someone's intelligence?
I think there definitely needs to be less emphasis on testing and just doing less testing in general. Like it should be more about the progress that students make. But I'm fully aware, like we live in such a data-driven society that everyone will say, like, yeah, but we need to have continuous evaluation of everyone, because it's more objective and correcter compared to like having teachers pretty much
Evaluate them
ev-
subjectively. But yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
indeed.
The tests are subjective as well. Um, so
Yeah, but they're being objectified by the system.
right. So people think that they're objective, but they're actually not. Because of the way, and I mean, what if you're not good at taking tests? It doesn't mean that you're not
Yeah, then
intelligent.
then you fall outside of the
Yeah, and
educational system.
it's like, oh, you're going to work at a warehouse because you can't retain information the way other people do. Doesn't mean you can't retain information. You just can't. The teaching format isn't suited to your learning style. That sort of thing, you know. Yeah, it's a significant problem. Do you have any solutions for us, Felagund? Do you have a light in the darkness, if you will?
Most of the time when we are talking about education, most people always point towards Finland as being the best educational system in the world.
What do they have going on?
So they pretty much reformed their educational system to have way less hours. So they don't have the 8 hours school days. They limited that by a large margin, and they removed homework altogether.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Oh, it's like I brought that up earlier. That was the problem.
and the point is, which I guess most of the other countries don't seem to believe, is like if you give like children spend time outside of school, doing things. Like you mentioned, you would do sports. A lot of children do music. All sorts of hobbies. So it's not like there is only school that contributes to them learning. So I think it's definitely like overvalued that we can only learn things in school. Um, and what happened is that by having them spend way less time in school, they are also way more like motivated and focused for the fact that like 8 hours is a very long time, and
Especially
it's
for a kid. Like that's a
yeah,
huge amount
definitely.
of time.
And also just the classical system of having them all sit on benches in a classroom for 8 hours is completely ridiculous, because that's that's like an ancient approach of hundreds of years ago.
Yep. Yeah. So well, hopefully the United States government is listening to us. So that, well, maybe they shouldn't be listening to us because then they might be threatened. Um, but yeah, I think that we've talked a bit about education, um, and not really fixed it yet. But let's try. So yeah, that's the ultimate solution. Let's try to emulate the Finnish. Um, everybody look towards Finland to guide us Um, yeah, I've heard good things about the Scandinavian countries in general. As far as other things too, but we won't get into that now. Would you like to move on to the next point, Felagund, or would you like to talk about education more?
Um, the only thing that um, the only question I still have is like our school system here is originally kind of comes from the Catholic Church, and they were definitely the first ones that really established the schooling system. So it has like an enormous emphasis on complete indoctrination. You know, the Catholic values were really drilled into all students. I mean, obviously that's completed completely started to fade away. Um, so I still went to like Catholic churches, what I say Catholic schools. So I still had religion, but it's no longer as dominant as it used to be. So I wonder, like, in what form does like the indoctrination of values have still, how is that represented in the US?
Oh, well, I'd say in our society we still have very Puritan views as far as like influence in our religion. It's definitely like a huge part of any country is that country's history. So our religious history is very much rooted in Protestant, usually pretty austere, uh, kind of religion, and that I think that's reflected in a lot of our society, but in our school system as well. Like as far as the constant judgment that's being passed on you, or the yeah, I don't know. I can't really specifically say where the Puritan aspect comes into it because I didn't think about that. But yeah, I definitely get the feeling that it's just a bunch of people with those belt buckle hats just looking down at me and going, "Well, you fucked up in school, so you're gonna work at a warehouse now." Um, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Trying to get away from that. As far as the institutions go, not just religion, I think a lot of the US government is very dated and very slow to update, and that's certainly true in our educational system as well. Our educational system might have been effective 50 years ago, but it's way too similar to what it was 50 years ago, considering that we have the internet now and kids have smartphones, you know? Uh, it's like America needs to be quick on its feet if it wants to survive in the world now, if it wants to be the superpower that it has been and is, it needs to be faster on its feet, and definitely in the education system is where you're going to get the populace educated. So it's really important that we update a lot faster than we have been doing. And
I think that's a struggle that every country is pretty much having. Like government is always way too slow to follow the changes of in society.
it is, and I think we could change government to adapt more quickly. But we're all using very old forms of government just because, I don't know, for whatever reason, that's how they have historically come about. And the world used to be slower in change, and in the past 100 years, maybe a bit more than that, the world has just been exponentially speeding up as far as how things are changing, and now kids have smartphones, so who knows what they're learning on that before they get to school. Want to go on to the next thing, Pelican? I'm kind of
Yeah,
pressuring you into
certainly.
this. Let's do it. Um, okay, so this one you actually came up with all three of the points that we're going to try to hit today. Hopefully we can get to all three. We spent about half an hour on that, which I feel that was a good half hour. But it might make it difficult for us to hit all three of these points. Let's pick one of the two remaining, and see how long we talk about that, and then we can get to the other one, and then we can do my special ending segment, which is going to be a treat for the viewers, because that needs to be in there. But we might go a bit over an hour if that's okay with you, Felagund.
I would choose for the multilingual talk.
That's the more serious one. I'd like to get to the other one too, because the other one's really good as well. But yeah, let's do that one. Should we force people to be multilingual? Specifically, should English be required as a second language, as it is in much of the world, like in Belgium and Germany and Japan and many other countries? I kind of wrote that awkwardly, but anyway, should all those countries be requiring their kids to learn English in primary and secondary school? What do you think? What do you think, Felix?
My take on it is that for me, English is not a requirement. But the problem is that we, as a society, have chosen that the language of the internet is pretty much English. So English definitely makes the most logical choice.
Sorry, I think in some countries it is actually required. I kind of thought that was the case in Belgium as well, but I guess I was mistaken. I thought you were saying that they do require you to learn other languages, but it's not necessarily English?
The situation in Belgium is that we have 3 official languages which you are expected to learn in school, which is Dutch, French, and German.
Right.
And then a 4th language is being added of English, since our educational system deems English an important language in the world. So we have 4 required languages that we learn in school.
What do you think about that?
If you would have asked that question when I was in school, I would have told you that's the worst idea in the world, because I absolutely hated languages. But if I now look back at it, I am very grateful for learning languages in school. It changes it changes your perspective on the world. Now that I'm talking to you, my thought process is in English. But if I would go back, to my daily life, it will switch, because in daily life I talk in Dutch.
Okay.
And then at work, I work for a French company, so at work French would be spoken, and it is kind of a shift in personality, because those different languages have a different meaning in your life. Like, for example, if you would ask me any sort of words in the kitchen, I won't be able to give you the English or the French word, because I just don't know those.
You avoid that area of life?
No, but it is linked to my native language.
Oh, okay.
Where
So you don't encounter English or French in the kitchen?
Yes, indeed. And the same thing, like my job is a lot of English is involved because of computers, where the main language is English. So for many of those things, I would even struggle to explain the situation in Dutch, because it is very common to me that the moment I'm working with computers, I automatically swap the language and also the thinking process into English.
Huh. That is interesting. Because my initial reaction to that was like, that's a lot of information for kids to absorb. That could be other information.
But that's where I can see where the conflict is with British or American people, where they will be able to go through their life with only the requirement of English.
Right.
But you have to understand that over here in Europe, you are at an enormous disadvantage if you speak only one language. You will have way more trouble on the job market. And like you said before, you would more be pushed into those lower tier jobs because people expect in this country that you speak 3 languages.
Well, maybe it's not a terrible thing. Do you think that it limited your acquisition of other knowledge?
No, absolutely not. I think we even push languages too little because we start. So my first language is Dutch, and the second language we have to learn is French, which starts to be educated from the age of 10.
Right.
And I think what we always underestimate is how much information as a child you can take up. Like you have absolutely no problem with learning languages. The problem is mainly your interest in it, and that's where people fail learning a language. Like for me, French was always a terrible thing for the fact like I had nobody in my surroundings that you would speak French with, and then you lose interest because you're thinking like, why the hell am I spending my time on a language that I will never use in my life? Because you can't foresee the future, so you think like this is a waste of my time. And yeah, now I'm like, well, what a fool was I by not paying attention for French, because now I'm working for a French company.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my issues as a kid was I wasn't able to plan for the future because not really part of my worldview at that point. But yeah, I mean, Belgium's educational system just sounds so much better. Oh shit, we did we move on? We moved on. So we're still talking. We're talking about English being learned in education. I'm like, wait, didn't we already talk about the educational system? So, what do you think about like English being learned in like Japan though?
I think it's definitely when to me language is automatically linked to like culture, and definitely if your languages are that far apart from each other, it's like a complete culture shock, pretty much.
I mean, that's
Because
definitely the World War II talking right there. As far as why the Japanese have to learn English. Would you agree with that assessment? I mean, I know a little bit about history. Oh, I'm fine.
I think, I mean, you see it like language always becomes a big talking point from the moment you're talking about immigration. And I think language plays an enormous part because if you can't communicate with the people around you, there's no really way of integrating with a society.
That's definitely true. But I mean, we didn't quite address. What do you think about the Japanese having to learn English? Is that, I mean, I could see how they might use English eventually, but it'd be like the same way that I would be able to use like Japanese or Chinese. Is it? I personally don't think that should be a part of their education.
I think that's still a very logical choice for the fact that English is still like the language of science and of the internet.
That's true. Because of Britain and the United States, that is true. So, okay, I'll just switch opinions on that. yeah, maybe they should learn English. Maybe everyone should. But I don't like that the world is like that. That English is the dominant language like that. But also as far as like learning English goes, fairly soon we're going to have technology that's going to be able to just translate anything easily. I mean, there's already technology that kind of does that, but I'd say within the next 10 years or so, we're just going to have programs that someone can speak in English and you can have subtitles in your language. Do you think that's like within our technology, like in the next 10 years?
I mean, it is already pretty much. We are already at the point that we can do that. Um, but the thing is that it doesn't create this. It's not the same sort of interaction. Like it's all well for like tourism, or even to be able to do business deals and have like a minimum amount of communication. But your interactions won't go any further than that. Like if you want to truly understand somebody and you want to be able to connect with them in a way, then you have to find a common language. I don't think technology is gonna fill that gap.
Yeah, there is a like talking to someone as we are doing now, as people often do. There is a human element to that probably reading subtitles would cut out of that. But I just meant like as far as like uses in like industry and all that, where you might not need that. Um, I don't know. It's I guess if a child's mind is a sponge and it's not really a big deal to learn it anyway, then maybe they just should. But I kind of wish that the U.S. Had us learn other. I think that they're doing better than they were 15 years ago, but for me, I was able to take German as an elective, but I wasn't required to learn a second language. I had like a choice of of um of electives that I could do, and well, maybe like a year of a second language was a requirement, but it wasn't like from primary school I was taught another language. Like Spanish would be an especially useful one here in California because there's a lot of people who speak Spanish here. Um,
I think that's a very important component. Like there is absolutely no use that you learn a language that can never be applied, that you can't do anything with. So in that sense, like you have to learn a language that you actually can use. So if there are Spanish communities, I think that's definitely a valuable language to choose, because it kind of also creates more understanding, and you know even basic understanding of language just gives you a different bond with people. Like some sort of understanding gets created.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I kind of wish that the school system had me learn Spanish. That would have been nice. But there's something about the American mentality that kind of goes against that. It seems like as far as we have a tradition of being very much America is the greatest. No one else matters. And you see that in our news as far as what we report as far as international news goes. It's news is almost entirely our American news is almost entirely focused on America rather than other countries. And that's true today. I actually avoid the news because I hate it. I hate the. That's another lovely topic to talk about how American media is really shitty. Um. Well, did you have any more thoughts on English? Or English or any other language being uh taught in schools? Because I have really kind of changed my opinion about it, because I came into this conversation thinking like, those kids, they could be learning something else. But especially if there are communities that are speaking other languages in your proximity, like you might get a job where you need French, then French would be a good thing to be taught to you in school, or if your job involves English. So now I'm more of that camp. I think that is reasonable to teach children languages if they can absorb that and like anything else that they need to learn. Because I didn't really think about that either. Like kids can learn a lot. So yeah. Any other thoughts, Felagund, on the matter?
And another interesting point about language that like not many
I'm
people
sorry.
are aware.
One second. Someone's knocking on my door. I'll be back. Sorry, everybody. Damn you, reality. I'm back. I'm back, everybody. I'm back, Felagund. Sorry about that, everybody.
You made us dizzy.
I'm sorry. My cat like hit the mouse, as I went away, because my cats love to sabotage me as soon as I get up from the computer. Like oftentimes, like if I go up to like get a glass of water or use the bathroom, I'll find a cat in my chair. When I return, like 30 seconds later, it's great. So sorry, Felagund, any other thoughts on the learning other languages in
Yeah,
primary?
the point I wanted to make is that not many people are aware that language actually it influences your entire thinking, and it's influence on a huge amount of subjects, but it even has influence on how you do mathematics. So it's shown that the languages that have a very easy approach of doing numbers makes it easier to be more proficient in mathematics.
So
Because
you like one of the Latin-based languages, or like what language specifically?
no, like the best ones around are like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Turkish seem to be the best languages for.
I've never really heard that. Why would they be better for numbers? I understand they use like characters.
So what the point is that in many of the languages we have created an illogical way of composing numbers. So for example, in English you say 11 and you say like 17 instead of saying like 10 and 1 and 10 7, and it goes even further, like then you have like 27, but that could be 2 10 7. And every exception you make in the construction of your numbers makes it that you have to use your brain to pretty much very clear patterns in mathematics are broken into exceptions in language.
I have never thought of that, but that makes sense to me. Cuz I've always like counting in my head, I always go 11, 12, 13, and I've never thought about how those words don't really make sense for what they're trying to represent. Like take the German for 22, it's 22, right? So it's 2 and 20, right? So you're saying that's like better than 22 because who knows what the hell 22 means? Is that kind of what you're getting at, Felagund? Or did I miss
Yeah,
it?
it pretty much, yeah, it means like the least exceptions that you have. the easier your language becomes to be used.
But even in German, like they still in like the numbers below 20, they have some exceptions. So, are you saying like in some of the Asian languages they make more sense? Like I don't know.
Yes,
Okay.
those they don't do that. They literally like 22 is then 210 like in that sense they construct it in the most logical way of what it actually represents.
Didn't I think historically like 2 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. That's like a rhyme about some king who ate some crows or something in a pie. But it used to be in English that it was more like that, but at some point it became 22. Um yeah, maybe we should go back to that. Maybe we should actually change the words that we're using. I mean, I don't know that you'd necessarily have to learn a new language to get that, but I really like this concept. Like, maybe we should actually just change what we're teaching, and change the words for it. But I mean, America is still on the imperial system, so changing the word for a number is quite a bit more than that. So, I'm not especially optimistic on that front.
Yeah, your metric systems
Yeah,
are a whole different topic.
when I cook and when I do my limited woodworking, which is quite limited. I do a lot more cooking than that. But I've been trying to use the metric system as much as possible because it's way better. But anyway, let's see what. Oh, so it's I don't think we have time for the third point, Felagund. Do you think we've covered the multilingual thing with the thing we were
Yes.
talking about? Yeah, we did it. Everybody understands it now, and we've solved the problem. Um, we've determined that there is no problem, and America has it wrong.
Yes, I like that point a lot. That's always the point I'm trying to make.
Yes, America has so many things wrong. So what I would like to do now, let's see. Am I in a safe spot in Dark Souls? Am I going to die immediately? I'll go stand up here. This looks like a nice little area for me. What I would like to do now for like the last maybe 10, 15 minutes, is oh, hello chat. It's me, Socratic Duck, the guy who has been kind of distractedly talking to Felagund for the past 50 minutes. Would anyone in the chat like to ask me or Felagund a question, or maybe you could pick like a topic that we can talk about for like 10, 15 minutes, something like that. Anybody into that? Anyone want to try that? Guys?
He's asking very nicely.
I am asking nicely. Pengu, that's not helpful. Don't make me come up with this. I'm not prepared. I really... No. Well, I mean, not a question necessarily about what we talked about, but a question in general. Like, anyone can ask us anything, and I'll determine if it's a good question or not. Or you could introduce a new little topic. If I don't see anything... Oh, we get talk about... Shady Crop says talk about Pokemon.
Okay.
All right. Sure. Why not? Let's go for it. I'm not seeing any other stuff, so we're gonna go with Shady Crop. So I think that this is a fitting conclusion to the episode where we have discussed very, very interesting and deep topics. Let's wrap it up by talking about Pokemon. Felagund, what's your favorite Pokemon?
I guess it would be
sorry.
Articuno.
Sorry. Oh, I was going to ask before that. Have you heard of Pokemon?
Yeah, I do know Pokemon. Like, I remember when I was in primary school, I got a Game Boy. You know, the one that was only had black, didn't have colors, and if you were driving in a car in the dark, you couldn't see shit on the screen. So yeah, I played the original Pokemon, and
I did
and that's
too.
it.
I did too on my Game Boy Pocket, and also the same for me. Like I love the hell out of that game, but I outgrew it at some point, you know. Um, and I never got back into it. Like I know a lot of people like the game out of nostalgia, but that just never worked for me. Like I played it like probably for a couple hundred hours as a kid, and then that was it for me. And I've never gone back to it. I mean, I still have like fond memories of it. It's just it no longer appeals to me because of the repetitive quality of it. Um,
Yeah, I definitely played also hundreds of hours as a kid, and I played I played the original back like a couple of years ago, but it definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't the same experience. It was pretty much like a like a speed run, for like as quickly as possible, going to the end and beating the Fantastic Four, and then saying it like, yeah, I've seen it. I know what this game is about.
um, what do you think about the Mew versus Mewtwo controversy?
Well, you first of all have to explain to me what that controversy is.
Okay, so back in the day, scientists found Mew, and being scientists with their nefarious purposes, they captured Mew and cloned her, because that's what you do with like super powerful psychic Pokemon that you find. You clone them and see if you can make a new and better one. And so therefore there is Mewtwo, and the first Pokemon movie is about the conflict that arose from
But
that
the
terrible.
storyline is that Mewtwo is a product of greed, right? And Mew will
Yes,
always win.
yes. Like, I mean, I'm not even sure what they were trying to do, because as far as I know, there's no war in the Pokemon universe. So, like, I don't really know like what they were trying to accomplish. Um, but yeah, um, they did it. So what are your thoughts, Felagund? What do you take away from that?
Um, well, I do have moral questions of morality of cloning Mewtwo to, I guess, conquer the world and as a fighting device, I guess.
I think it's fine. It's totally acceptable to do that, especially if you have like no, need to do that. That's, why not? The science is there. You might as well use it.
I think it can be used for better purposes than well, I guess Pokemon battles are quite
Also, the best
the big deal in the Pokemon
they
universe.
are a really big deal in the Pokemon universe. Also, the best part about it is Mewtwo ends up, as soon as he like becomes conscious, he ends up like killing all the scientists that created him, which is pretty racy for a Pokemon movie. It's kind of like it's just implied, but the laboratory that he's in explodes, so they're all dead. Um, and the best part is like that the scientists who did this, they profited in no way from creating Mewtwo. I mean, they either died or the ones that were off site, were like, oh well, now our expensive Pokemon laboratory is vaporized. So yeah, I think it's a delightful, unintentional irony. Because I don't think that's
But
what they were going for when they wrote that.
it does tell us that their achievement of cloning was rather remarkable if they managed to do that.
I don't know. They had like VATs and stuff. They didn't really go into the technology. Well, I am going to go to the bonfire that is near here. I didn't quite get to the first boss today, but I am incredibly impressed with how well I played Dark Souls and managed to mostly hold an intelligent conversation with Felagund, except for that one part. But you know, I want to conclude that I'm amazing, and everyone who's listening, you should dedicate your lives to telling more people about this Twitch podcast thing. And probably over the weekend, I'm going to be making a YouTube channel so people can also, you know, watch them at their leisure instead of having to catch it live. Well, I'm gonna save, and then in conclusion, Felagund, there's something that you wanted to tell the viewers. So, please tell them, instruct them.
Yeah, I was required to plug something, so
I forced him to do this.
so then I have to come something up. So then I have to tell my viewers about the Practical Stoic Discord, which can be found on practicalstoic.com. I think it's a website thingy.
It's also there's a link to the Discord that surely you've had ready for more than an hour that you can put in the chat right now.
Which I obviously was not prepared for.
Wow, you really dropped the ball on this one, Felagund. I told you that you had to plug at the end of the episode. So anyway, I feel like Pokemon was a nice topic. Next time we'll talk about Vikings. Did you want me to plug it? Because I feel that I can go and get the link very quickly.
Yeah, it seems that I have to log in to do anything with the chat.
No, all you have to do is right click. Oh, you weren't logged in to. I thought you were supporting the channel.
Nope.
Well, I guess that's a good thing because that's one viewer that we didn't have that I thought we had. So it's just Oh, so it's hidden to me. Can you DM me the link to the thing? Like a permanent one, unless you have a reason to make it temporary. Also, I think this chat is just gone in like a matter of minutes. Could you DM me one so I can plug it and then gracefully end the episode, which I am treading water here. I feel that I was a little bit better prepared for this episode, and it's just gonna get better, everybody. If you could tell people about this, like, it'd be great. I'd love to get more people involved with this, and well, thank you, Pengy. Pengy has been a long time supporter of the channel. I think we started a week ago, and he's been with us since the beginning. So thanks to Pengy. Here is the link for anyone who would like to do philosophy. I'm not a Stoic. I'm part of the server, so I don't think it's a requirement. It is encouraged, though. But anyway, thank you, Felagund, and thank you to all the viewers. And then just next time, I'll also put this in the Discord. Just know that at the end of each episode, I'm gonna try to reach out to the chat and say, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? So, goodbye for now. Felagund,
right,
did you want to say? All right, bye then.